In October 1962, the world stood on the edge of nuclear war. The United States and the Soviet Union faced each other over missiles placed in Cuba. Millions of lives depended on decisions made far from public view. But the closest moment to nuclear war did not happen in Washington or Moscow. It happened deep underwater, inside a Soviet submarine, and history would almost forget it. In 1962, the Cold War had reached a dangerous peak. The Soviet Union secretly deployed nuclear missiles to Cuba, just 90 miles from the United States. When American reconnaissance planes detected the missile sites, President John F. Kennedy ordered a naval blockade, officially called a quarantine, around Cuba. The world watched as U.S. and Soviet forces prepared for possible war. Public attention focused on leaders. But beneath the ocean, another crisis was unfolding. Unknown to the United States, the Soviet Union had sent 4 diesel-electric submarines toward Cuba. Each submarine carried a nuclear-armed torpedo. The crews were given sealed orders. They were told that if war began, they could use nuclear weapons. Communication with Moscow was limited. Once submerged, these submarines were largely on their own. One of those submarines was B-59. Inside, conditions were brutal. The submarine had been underwater for days. Temperatures rose above 45 degrees Celsius, 113 degrees Fahrenheit. Carbon dioxide levels were dangerously high. The crew was exhausted. They did not know whether war had already begun. On October 27, 1962, U.S. Navy destroyers detected B-59 near the blockade line. To force it to surface, American ships dropped practice depth charges. These were not meant to destroy the submarine. But to the Soviet crew, they did not know that. Explosions shook the vessel. To the crew of B-59, it felt like the beginning of war. Inside the submarine, panic grew. According to Soviet protocol, launching a nuclear torpedo required agreement from 3 officers: the submarine captain, the political officer, and the flotilla commander on board. 2 of them believed nuclear war had already begun. They were ready to launch. 1 man disagreed. His name was Vasily Arkhipov. Arkhipov was not the submarine's captain, but he was the senior officer on board and the flotilla commander. He had experienced nuclear danger before, surviving a previous submarine accident involving radiation. Arkhipov believed something was wrong. He argued that they had no confirmation of war. He insisted they surface instead of launching. The debate lasted minutes, but those minutes mattered. Arkhipov refused to authorize the nuclear launch. Without unanimous approval, the torpedo could not be fired. The submarine surfaced. No nuclear weapon was used. The world never knew how close it had come to destruction. If the torpedo had been launched, a U.S. naval ship would have been destroyed. The United States would have responded. Nuclear escalation would have followed. Historians agree this could have triggered full-scale nuclear war. Millions, possibly hundreds of millions, could have died. All of it avoided by one refusal. Days later, the Cold War ended through diplomacy. The Soviet Union removed its missiles from Cuba. The United States secretly removed missiles from Turkey. The world stepped back from the brink. But Arkhipov's role remained unknown. For decades, the incident was classified. Only after the Cold War did historians uncover the truth. Vasily Arkhipov received no medal at the time, no public recognition. Yet many historians now agree he may have been the most important man in history that no one knew. History often credits leaders and generals, but sometimes the fate of the world depends on someone who simply says no. In October 1962, Vasily Arkhipov did exactly that. There was no celebration, no headline, no applause, just a quiet decision and a world that lived to see another day.